Body like a Vikings 53-man rooster projection. That's right. So our guy Will Ragatz over at Sports Illustrated fired up a 53-man roster projection for the Minnesota Fighting Vikings. Now, insiders, guys that are beat writers, they're there every single day, give a little bit more gravitas to their projections because they talk to coaches, they talk to players, they get impression from media availability. Who's doing well? Who's sucking hind teat, like who's going to make the roster, who is not. So we're going to go through his projection, where we agree, where we disagree, etc. Also, so there's no practice squad projection on this, so it's straight up 53-man. So there's going to be some names that are punted. You're like, but could and should be in the sphere on the practice squad. So quarterbacks, he's predicting it, calling it. Kellen Mond takes over QB2 from Slingin' Sean Mannion. The vending machine tuna fish sandwich of quarterbacks, nailed it. So he gone. Also, the Vikings only have 3 quarterbacks right now because they got rid of Nate Stanley. Running backs. So it always shakes me when I see running backs and then they put 5 because they include fullback, even though I consider fullback a different position. Whatever. Anyways, 4 running backs, 4 tailbacks, whatever, as well as CJ Ham, the best fullback in the league. And it's as you expect. Dalvin, Kinkenny, Madison, Ty Chandler, the rookie. I do think that UDFA Bryant Kobach could make the practice squad. The tailback who had a really nice college career already made the impression that he is on the roster versus AJ Rose, last year's preseason superstar. So you got tight ends 3, Irv Smith Jr., Johnny Munt, the utility tight end coming from his time with the Rams, as well as Ben Ellefson, the former NDSU Bison, picked up last season from the Jacksonville Jaguars. Not making the squad are 7th-round pick Nick Muse, South Carolina, Sean Byer coming from Iowa, who they just picked up, as well as Zach Davidson, last year's 5th-round pick out of Central Mizzou Tech State, blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. Even though I do think that Muse and Davidson would be practice squad candidates. Offensive line. So this is where it gets a little bit sporty. So you got your starting 5 in left to right: Darisaw, Ezra, Bradbury, Chris Reed, as well as Brian, the real deal O'Neal, one of the best right tackles in the game. For backups, you got Jesse Davis. All right, so Jesse Davis, who's also in the running for the right guard spot, but he can be your utility tackle. Ed Ingram in there as well. Interesting that he... All right, so Ed Ingram listed as a backup. Sorry, I was reading the positional listings backwards because it goes player name and then position. So initially I was reading Ed Ingram as guard tackle, and I was just like, no, ain't gonna happen. Vidarian Lowe, the day 3 utility tackle from the University of Illinois. I do think that he has some nice. I do think that he's a nice project going forward. Maybe he'll develop into something in a season or 2. And then you got Oli Udoh just remaining. Now, Oli Udoh was a disaster last year at right guard, as well as he wasn't very good when he had to play a couple games at left tackle in place of Christian Darisaw. But you do value the versatility, I guess. But do you keep Oli Udoh versus a guy like Blake Brandel? Possibly, even though I think that Blake Brandel has done a good job. Again, Will sees Blake Brandel every day, so whatever. Also, not making the squad, Wyatt Davis, last year's 3rd-round pick. Now, it is a different regime, different blah, 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 so maybe Wyatt Davis gets lost in the mix. Austin Schlottman, coming over from the Broncos, also does not make it. Defensively, wide receivers. So wide receivers are keeping 6, which makes sense. The Vikings are going to play a lot more 11 personnel. So it's Justin friggin' Jefferson, it's Thielen, it's KJ, it's ISM, it's Burt Wilson, as well as 6th-round pick Jalen Speedy Naylor coming out of Michigan State. Not making the 53 are Diamond Dan Chisena, Blake Prohl, Myra Mitchell, Thomas Hennigan, Tristan Jackson, as well as BC Johnson. That one raises the eyebrow. Now, you could easily put Chisena on the practice squad, which have done in previous years, and then call him up on game day, be special teams gunner. And then eventually, once he exhausts his call-ups, which now you have 3, formerly you had 2, then do something with the roster or whatever. Potentially same thing with BC Johnson. Defensively, to the defense, to the wall. Defensively, so safety keeping 4. Harrison, Lewis C. and Cameron Bynum, Josh Metellus. Now, I understand, well, what about Josh Metellus? Metellus played some really good special teams, and I think is a decent backup at both of the safety spots. Then you have cornerback-wise keeping 6. So P-Squared, Cameron Tiny Dancer, Andrew Booth Jr., who I think could be your 3 on the outside. Shondon Sullivan in the slot, he has specifically listed. At Caleb Evans, a 4th-round pick from Mizzou, as well as Nate Hairston, who started off on the NFI list. Hopefully he's going to be good to go. But, yeah, coming over from Denver, Denver. Familiarity with Ed Donatel, of course, certainly helps. Gone will be longtime mainstays Chris Boyd, as well as Harrison Hand, Perry Nickerson, as well as Ty Smith. And with Boyd and Harrison Hand, it could just be, they brought in a number of talented players, both in the draft, Booth and Evans, as well as in free agency, Sean O'Sullivan, as well as Hairston, plus they re-signed Patrick Peterson. So it could just be a numbers game. Also, regime change does factor in. Linebackers. So he combined edge rushers as well as off-ball linebackers. So on the edge, you got Daniil Za'Darius, DJ Wanham, Patrick Jones II, as well as Janaris Robinson. I think that is going to hold true. The only two outside linebacker edge rushers who don't make the squad are the two UDFA, Zach McLeod from Miami, as well as Luigi Villain from Wake Forest. Now, both of those could make the practice squad, or at least one of them. Off-ball linebackers, you got Kendricks and Hicks starting in the middle, as well as Asamoah, the rookie coming out of Oklahoma, plus Blake Lynch survives. Again, I love me some Blake Lynch. I think good things happen whenever he's on the field. Gone are Chaz Surratt. Chaz Surratt was the Vikings' second draft choice last year. Didn't get the time of day. Caught up in the regime change. He was an older rookie to begin with, for converted college quarterback. So whatever. Troy Dye was a fourth-round pick out of Oregon a couple seasons ago. He's gotten opportunities. He's played well on special teams, but other than that, nah. Connolly also no go. Plus William Kwenku, who was a UDFA tryout as an off-ball linebacker, already made the impression, made the 90. He's our dark horse to potentially make the 53. But again, we're not factoring in practice squad on these projections. So there you go. And then lastly, defensive line, keeping 6, which makes sense as the Vikings are going to move to an odd front, move to a 3-4. So the starters, Diesel Dalvin, Harrison Phillips, Armand for Watts. And then the backups, you have Osese Otomehu coming in from the Golden Gophers, 5th-round pick, Sky Uma, as well as jumping James Lynch, who I think his versatility, both as a 5-tech as well as he has some experience on the nose from last season. I think that could lend him to being a very big contributor on this defensive line. Also, got Jonathan Bullard coming in, former high draft pick from the crooked Chicago Bears. But yeah, he was a stud at Florida. Hasn't really panned out on his potential, but he makes it as well. Now, some tough cuts here. So Jalen Twyman, he gone. Julian Taylor, who they picked up, like his versatility from the Niners, he gone as well. But like we said, this is strictly 53, no practice squad factored in, yada, yada, yada. But that's it. Let's take a look at Will Ragatz, Sports Illustrated's 53-man roster projection. Go check him out over at SI. Let us know your thoughts on our thoughts and his thoughts and everyone's thoughts. Where was he right? Where was he wrong? Blah, blah, blah. Let us know in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skull, production value.